What's up investors, and welcome back to the channel. If you follow the channel, then you know that I usually like to cover one stock in these videos and go into a lot of detail, but today I'm going to do something a little different. In the past few weeks we have seen some huge gains in the biotech pharma industries. There have been some incredible one-day gains, so I've decided to find 3 of the most exciting pharmaceutical stocks out there with the highest upside potential. All the stocks in this video will not only have my opinion, but will also be backed up by analyst ratings and price targets, and have solid financials to fund their operations. So today we'll be looking at 3 of the hottest stocks that might be about to explode. We will talk about each of these and what they do. We will look at the analysts' ratings and what price targets they have for these stocks, before I look at the financials of each company. Before we get into the video, it takes a lot of time to do this research, and I looked at a lot of companies to narrow it down to my top 3. So I would greatly appreciate if you could smash that like button. It really helps the channel out a lot. I'm aiming to get 200 likes on this video. Help me make it happen. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification so you don't miss out on any new content like this. It's 100% free and a great way to show your support for the channel. Leave a comment down below if you're invested in any of these companies, what price you bought in at, and what price target you have. As always guys, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Now let's get into it. Company number 1, 180 Life Sciences. 180 Life Sciences is a clinical stage biotech company focused on the development of novel drugs that fulfill unmet needs in inflammatory diseases, fibrosis and pain. By leveraging the combined expertise in therapeutics from Oxford University, the Hebrew University and Stanford University. 180 Life Sciences only went public last November through a merger with the SPAC KLB Merger Corp 4 that had raised over $100 million. This company is leading the research into solving one of the world's biggest drivers of disease, inflammation. The company is driving groundbreaking studies into clinical programs which are seeking to develop novel drugs addressing separate areas of inflammation for which there are currently no effective therapies. The company's primary platform is the novel program to treat fibrosis using anti-TNF technology, hence the ticker ATNF. The fibrosis and ATNF team is led by Professor Jagdeep Nanchalal and Professor Mark Feldman, but they also have the synthetic CBD analogs program and the A7 NACHR program. Synthetic CBD analogs are man-made derivatives of CBD aiming to provide a real alternative to unregulated CBD and offer improved efficiency for treatment of inflammation and pain. And there is the A7 program where 180 Life Sciences are developing a treatment for ulcerative colitis in ex-smokers. So here we can see an overview of these 3 programs and the technologies, the targeted diseases, the competitive advantage, the stage they're at and the intellectual property involved. And looking at the pipeline, we can see that these are heading into phase 3 for several indications in the near future. 180 is led by CEO Dr. James Woody, who previously served as the founding CEO of Oncomed, as well as President and GM of Roche Bioscience. In addition, he was the CEO and SVP of R&D for Synthicor, where he led the team responsible for developing Remicade in collaboration with Professor Mark Feldman, who is also one of the founders at ATNF. Remicade reached several $1 billion in sales each year. Looking at the team here is like the A-team of doctors. Between them they have won loads of international awards and founded and sold several biotech startups to major pharmaceutical companies such as AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson and Biogen. As well as all of this, 180 also has a vast patent portfolio. For anyone looking to invest in this company, check out their latest investors presentation. The final 5 pages of this presentation are solely listing all the patents that the company has. So what do analysts think of 180 Life Sciences? One Wall Street analyst has set a 12-month price target for ATNF in the last 3 months of $11. This price target represents 98.5% upside from the last price of $5.54. Looking at market beat, we can see that 180 is currently in the lower quarter of both its 50-day range and 52-week range, further suggesting huge upside potential. The market cap of this company is only about $180 million, and their average trading volume is over 1 million shares too. Institutional investors here include Vanguard, BlackRock, and Morgan Stanley, who have been adding to their positions so far in 2021. And we can see that the most recent rating was set this month by Maxim Group, who have rated this as a buy with a price target of $11. This price target offers 98% upside from the current price, but in fact every other stock in this video has price targets offering at least 100% upside, so stick around until the end. Looking at the company's most recent quarterly report, we can see that they have total assets of 56 million, including cash of 1.8 million and goodwill of 37 million. In contrast to this, we can see the total liabilities of 53 million, which is mainly the result of this derivative liability, giving an asset to liability ratio of more than 1 to 1. This is not the strongest balance sheet, but these figures are fairly similar to the December 2020 figures. The cash figure of only 1.8 million is low, and as such ATNF would need to acquire additional funding going forward, which is exactly what they have done. In August, ATNF entered into a security purchase arrangement in order to raise $15 million. Looking at the income statement, we can see that this company has not yet generated any revenue, which is normal for a pharmaceutical company at this stage. After deducting operating expenses, we can see this gives the company a net loss for the 3-month period of $23 million, which is significant, but this is mainly made up of a $19 million loss on the change in fair value of derivative liabilities. I have spoken about these derivatives in previous videos. These are non-cash losses, as we can see here, driven by increases in the stock price during the period. This results in a high fair value of the underlying liability. So discounting this from the figures, the fair loss for the period would be more like $4 million. Cassava Sciences is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on neuroscience. The key focus of Sava's R&D is to develop first-in-class medicines for people with debilitating neurodegenerative conditions, and their main mission is to detect and treat Alzheimer's disease. This is a huge addressable market, with over 5 million people having Alzheimer's disease in the US alone and over 44 million people worldwide. This number is set to increase significantly in the years ahead, and there is no cure as of yet for Alzheimer's. New drugs for Alzheimer's remain elusive, and it is unlikely that any one drug will successfully treat the disease. All of this makes the case to consider the development of new and promising approaches for the treatment and diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Cassava's programs are being developed with scientific and financial support from the National Institutes of Health. There are 2 main programs: Simufilum, which is an investigational drug that represents an entirely new approach to treat Alzheimer's disease. It improves the function of multiple brain receptors and exerts powerful anti-neuroinflammatory effects. And Sava DX, which is a blood-based diagnostic to determine Alzheimer's disease. The goal of Sava DX is to make the detection of Alzheimer's disease as simple as getting a blood test, possibly years before the appearance of any overt clinical symptoms. The company plans to initiate a phase 3 program with Simufilum in Alzheimer's disease in the second half of 2021. Cassava own exclusive worldwide rights and related technologies without financial obligations to any third party. Composition of matter patent protection for Simufilum and other novel modules include 6 issued patents and currently run through 2033. In the US, there is no patent protection for Sava XD, which is protected by trade secrets, know-how, and other proprietary rights technology. This is a new investor presentation released just this month. I highly recommend for anyone looking to invest in this company to check it out. There is too much information here for me to go through. The team at Cassava is led by CEO and President Remy Barbier, who has grown and developed several publicly traded companies prior to Cassava. And as we can see here, the whole management team is vastly experienced, having held roles at major pharma companies, and between them have several FDA drug approvals prior to joining this company. Sava is also due to report its earnings on November 8th and is expected to report a negative EPS of 17 cents. 5 Wall Street analysts have set 12-month price targets for Sava in the last 3 months. The average price target is $147.40. with a high forecast of 215 and a low forecast of 100. The average price target represents 137% of an increase from the last price of $61.94. Looking at market beat, we can see that Sava is currently at rock bottom of its 50-day range, further suggesting huge upside potential. 12 months ago, this stock was trading at less than $10, but reached highs of over 146 in July. So Sava is in the middle of its 52-week range now too. The market cap of this company is about $2.5 billion, and there is big trading volume of over 14 million shares too. Institutional investors here include BlackRock, Vanguard, Morgan Stanley and Invesco, who have been adding to their position so far in 2021, with institutional ownership currently about 27%. And there is also significant short interest here too, with approximately 21% of the float shorted over time, providing the possibility here too for a short squeeze. And we can see that the most recent ratings have been set by Jones Trading, B. Riley and H.C. Wainwright, who have reiterated their ratings with price targets of 215, 145 and 124 respectively. The most recent of these is the $215 set this month, which is a huge upside from the current price of $61.94. Looking at the company's most recent quarterly report, we can see that they have total assets of $281 million, which is primarily made up of cash and cash equivalents of $278 million. In contrast to this, we can see that they have liabilities of only $4 million, giving Cassava an asset to liability ratio of about 70-1. This is a fantastic financial position for a company in this industry. Note that this is a huge improvement on the December 2020 figures, which is due in part to net proceeds of $189 million from a public offering back in February. And looking at the income statement, we can see that the company has not yet recognized any revenue, which is normal for a pharmaceutical company at this stage, and after deducting operating expenses, this gives the company a net loss for the period of just $5 million. It's worth noting here that operating expenses are primarily made up of research and development, so that's good to see. And at this rate, the company has enough cash in hand to fund years of research without having to dilute shareholders or look for any kind of financing. Next up, we have Processa Pharmaceuticals. This is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on the development of drug products that are intended to provide treatment for and improve the survival and or quality of life of patients who have high unmet medical needs or who have no alternative treatment. Their vision is to develop drugs with potentially high return on investment and lower risk of development failure, which is a great strategy in my opinion. The regulatory science approach that Processa employs not only allows them to develop drugs focused on FDA approval, but also allows them to select drugs for their portfolio which may have a greater chance of approval in the population of patients who need treatment options. The key pillars of their strategy include identifying drugs that have the potential efficacy in patients with an unmet medical need, identify drug products that have been developed or approved for other indications but can be repurposed to treat patients who have an unmet medical need, and identifying drugs that can be quickly developed such that within 2 to 4 years, critical value-added clinical milestones can be achieved while advancing drugs closer to commercialization. Processa have a number of drugs in their pipeline, and each of these offers multi-billion-dollar opportunities. The most advanced product candidate, PCS 499, they have completed the patient portion of the phase 2A trial, and PCS 499 has moved to phase 2B. They also have 4 other licensed drugs, 12852, 3117, 6422 and 11T, which are all at various milestone stages, and we can see here that 3 of these are already cleared by the FDA for clinical trials, so this is great to see. And the company has got many high value milestones to come within the next 2 to 15 months, so I expect this to be a stock to keep a close eye on. For anyone interested in the company, I strongly recommend checking out their website, which has a ton of information, and their investors presentation, which has been updated in just the past few weeks. Also, Processa will be participating in the upcoming Cantor Fitzgerald Healthcare Conference on September 29th, so this is definitely worth keeping an eye on over the coming days. Like each company in this video, again Processa has huge upside potential. One Wall Street analyst has set a price target for Processa of $20. This price target represents 153% upside from the last price of $7.90. Looking at market beat, we can see that Processa is currently at the top of its 50-day range, so this stock is currently on the up, but still in the lower half of its 52-week range, so there is still huge scope for upside potential. The market cap of this company is only about $120 million, and trading volume is very low, an indication that most investors are still unaware of the potential here. Institutional investors have been buying into Processa in the last 2 quarters, including Vanguard and Millennium Management. Processa is covered by just one brokerage right now. Oppenheimer initiated coverage with a buy rating and a price target of $20 last month. Looking at the company's most recent quarterly report, we can see that they have total assets of $31 million, which is primarily made up of cash and cash equivalents of $20.8 million. In contrast to this, we can see that they have liabilities of $1.8 million, giving Processa an asset to liability ratio of about 15:1. This is a very good financial position for a company in this industry. It's good to see that they have very little liabilities. And looking at the income statement, we can see that the company has not yet generated any revenue, which is the norm for a company at this stage. After deducting operating expenses, this gives the company a net loss for the 3-month period of $3.1 million. Again, operating expenses here are made up primarily of research and development, so that is good to see. And on page 8, management have noted that the company has enough cash on hand to fund operations well into 2023, so this is great to see too. So that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop it a like if you did. If you've watched all the way through, then fair play. I hope I've shared some information with you that you weren't already aware of, and I hope you found value in this video. If you're new around here, remember to hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Follow me on Twitter and join the Facebook group. Are you invested in any of these stocks, and what price targets do you have? As I said before, I'm not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. These videos just give my opinions, and if anyone is looking to buy into these companies, I encourage you to do your own research and make informed decisions as a result of that research. Thanks for watching the video. Catch you in the next one.